I'd like to start my speech today with a bit of a trigger warning. Today I want to talk about true crime and the obsession behind it. So, true crime is a genre. It is no different than a genre of music. It's not for everyone. If it's not something that you enjoy, then the things that I'm going to talk about just do not pertain to you as far as the psychology and the obsession with it, and that's okay. But what my speech is about, a little bit of the reasons why so many people do enjoy the genre. So if you hear me use words like we, us, everyone, people from all over, I am referring to the people that do enjoy the genre and are obsessed with the genre, and not a general form of everyone. Okay, thank you. Bundy, Manson, Gein, Capone, Wuornos. These are names like so many others that will spark a conversation and can take a drab, boring, dull affair and turn it into a full-on macabre history lesson that will keep so many of us at the edge of our seat, hanging on to every detail. It's as if humans are programmed to have a fascination with the monsters among us. I can almost guarantee you right now that on Netflix, Hulu, Prime, whatever streaming service you have, there is some sort of serial killer, bank heist, or real life murder story that is in the top 10, 20 trending on that streaming service. People have historically been obsessed with true crime and the stories and details of the men and women behind the madness. And I, too, admit that I am a true crime sleuth. My Spotify playlist is fully loaded with Crime Junkie, Morbid, Supernatural. I have seen just about every one of those serial killer and bank heist and murder mysteries that's trending on your streaming networks. Probably seen them. I just personally love to be informed about them because I love history, and knowing all of that, and I love to be in the know, and it's a bit of my own guilty pleasure. So today I want to talk about why is this? Why do so many of us feel the need to binge on real life horror stories? And I want to talk about the obsession and why that is. So true crime, even though we've just recently started calling that a genre, didn't just start with podcasts and streaming services. It goes back much further than that if you think about it. You have to consider the earliest forms of written histories, newspapers. When newspapers first started coming as publications, they actually had sections in them that they would publish crimes, and that was the way that they kept public record, and people would keep up with this. There would be people that would constantly keep up with the crimes on that. And then there came radio, and they would talk about, they would have, talk about that on the radio. And then there was television. They started doing that on television. When television came, it started getting really, really big. But in 1974, Buglosi and Gentry released Helter Skelter, which was about the Manson murders. And it's still to this day one of the most influential crime stories of America. In the 80s, Jeffrey Dahmer, his trial was one of the most, it had record-breaking media coverage. It was one of the highest rated, at the time, one of the highest rated media covered things on television. It was just insane, the amount of ratings it got. In 96, there was JonBenet Ramsey and her still unsolved murder that people still to this day think about. In 97, there's still the O.J. Simpson trial that I remember vividly for weeks watching that. 2002, we had Nancy Grace that covered the Scott Peterson trial, and crime junkies, crime sleuths everywhere would hang on to every word she said. And it was almost as if Scott Peterson had trial by media because we had access to him. So there's so many things when it comes to the true crime genre that access to these people's lives makes us feel like we are a part of something bigger. So that comes into play with the psychology behind people that are very much into the true crime genre. So psychologists have said that it comes from our schadenfreude, which is a term that means the enjoyment from others' troubles. It's not just pleasure from others' pain, but it's basically, I'm glad it wasn't me. It's not a morbid thing, but it's like when something happens to someone, you're not happy that they're hurt, but you're glad it wasn't you. Thank goodness it wasn't me. At least it wasn't me. Some have compared it to thrill seeking, adrenaline junkies, no different than getting on a roller coaster and feeling that, sensation. It may sound macabre, but humans watch scary movies all the time. They go to haunted trails and purposely scare themselves for, for others' entertainment and their own enjoyment. So when it comes to those that do enjoy the true crime genre, there's a lot of different things that go into the psychology of it, but it's a lot. So listening and watching is not gonna make you into a criminal. Like, just because you love the genre is not going to mean that does not mean that you're going to go out there and start a killing spree, or is it? So there are some very famous or infamous people that just want to be known, and this actually sparked a group of copycat killings. Several convicted criminals have named infamous killers as their idols and role models, unfortunately. There's been a fandom of women that seek out relationships with big names while these big names are in prison. It was found that in 2010, a study was done that over 70% of reviews for true crime books on Amazon were written by women. A lot of the true crime genre is actually the fans are women. But it's not all bad. Some psychologists have said that the women that love the genre tend to have a gravitation towards these genres because they feel it's a way to protect themselves if they were ever in certain situations, which honestly, to me personally, kind of makes sense. Because there are things that I watch and things that I listen to in my podcast, and I think to myself, oh, that was really smart. Like, if that were to ever happen to me, I would do something similar, or I would do this differently, or, oh, I should really start carrying this or that around. And it sounds really sad, but unfortunately, that's just the world that we live in today. It just is what it is when it comes to that. But I don't think that listening and watching true crime is going to go away anytime soon. I think that it is a genre that is really here to stay. Those of us that do like the genre are really into it, and it's really great. And I think a lot of it is just for entertainment purposes. I don't think that makes anybody macabre or obsessed. When I say the word obsessed, I use it lightly. I don't mean it as a deep obsession into something that is unhealthy. But with it not going away anytime soon, I think that maybe the next time you or anyone that happens to scroll past that, and if you get a chance and you want to watch something like that, or listen to a podcast on that docuseries, ask yourself why. Why are you watching it? Why are you listening to it? What is it about it that gets you, that you like about it? And start asking yourself these questions and start to discover your own psychology behind it. I think you'll be very interested to learn your own personal reasons with the psychology behind why, if you do, and why you do like the true crime genre. Thanks.